Hey everybody, welcome back to Creepypasta FanFiction. Oh crap, I misled it. Anyway, thank you guys. Welcome back so much to my Creepypasta FanFiction. Let's try to get into it. The photo above is mine. It's my coffee cup with some thing. Anyway, chapter 6. Uh, Crystal awoke feeling sick and dizzy. Her throat was hurting too. Her mother had come in wondering why she hadn't come down for breakfast, only to feel her forehead and realize she had a very high fever. Crystal's mom then called the school to inform them that Crystal would need to take some sick days off. Sick days. After Crystal's mom was done with the phone, she'd come back upstairs to give poor Crystal some fever-reducing medicine and started on trying to make her feel better. When it seemed like Crystal wasn't looking like she wasn't getting any much better, Crystal's mom called into workplace and said she couldn't come in today and needed to take care of her daughter. Her mother then spent the whole day by her side trying to make her fever go down and her head hurt at least a little less. Crystal spent the whole day drifting in and out of consciousness as she drifted, multiple people coming in and out of her room, checking in on her, or to feel her forehead, or to get her to eat or drink something, but most of the time she couldn't stay awake for more than a second or two after passing out again. As time went on, Crystal soon realized that the day had ended and night had come, but her mother still stayed beside her bed the whole night. Crystal couldn't tell if it was her fever or not, but she could have sworn at one point that she saw Zach's shadow appear on the floor at one point when she had opened her eyes, but it could have just been the fever-filled vision. Crystal couldn't get better the next day either, but her mom had to go to work so she was mostly left alone. Her dad coming in every other moment here to come and check on her fever hasn't gotten any higher. Every other moment to come and check and make sure her fever hadn't gone any higher. Crystal was able to be more comfortable and aware now. Her head was a lot less druggy now, and she could sleep more peacefully. Sometimes she laid there and heard the window creak, and she tiredly opened up her eyes and she saw Zach come to the room. He looked at her in the bed and quickly went over to her, kneeling beside her, grabbing one of her hands in both his. Chrissy, what's wrong? He asked, taking one of her hands in his and whipping off his mask so that he could see the worry on his face fully, putting it down on the floor, taking her hand again, looking at him, trying to say something, but only managed a tiny smile. She closed her eyes and opened them again, tried to clear her throat, and managed to quietly say, "I'm not feeling well, Zach. I'm ill." Zach looked at her, trying not to look so panicked, but wasn't seeming to be doing a good job of it. He didn't say anything else for a while, just stayed by her side, give her comfort. After a while, he explained that he had tried to come back sooner, but says he couldn't because he couldn't risk being seen by her parents or anyone else. So he couldn't risk it. Then that he was sorry. Crystal told him in a small voice that she understood, but just as he tried to say more, Crystal had managed to look up at him. Zach tensed and paused, and then quickly grabbed his mask and ran and jumped out the window. Before Crystal could really understand in her drained state, her father came in with a bowl of soup. He sat down and took a spoon and slowly started trying to get poor Crystal to sip some. As the days turned to weeks of being ill, Crystal may have gotten a lot stronger than the first day, but she had not gotten any better or any closer to being healthy. It was a weird turn of events. Crystal had to deal with not only her parents and siblings and family doctor coming in every minute to check on her, but in between, going in and out of conscious, she knew that Zach was out there, wanting to see her and be there with her, but he couldn't. Crystal couldn't understand why, but she felt his frustration even though she couldn't see him at all. But there was nothing one of them could do. It was weird, but the small times that Crystal was actually left alone, she found the very small times that she finally had more than enough time to really think about things, like really process things. You wouldn't think that someone would be able to think about anything when they're sick, but there she was. It was in this state that she was really able to think that maybe it was time to ask herself what did she want. So the questions began. Okay, Crystal, what do you want? What do you really want? What part of this are you truly okay with? Do you trust Zach? Are you willing to go to the police? Are you sure this is something you want to grow to be okay with? Are you sure that what you want is this to be a part of your future? Can you find a way to be independent and still obey every single thing that Zach Mm-hmm. Every single thing that Zach has. Mm, no, everything Zach asked of you. Should you use this sick time as a way to tell your parents about Zach? Are you willing to betray Zach when he may be scared of when he may be scared for you? But did he really hurt besides when he may scare are you willing to betray Zach when he may have scared you, but did he really hurt you besides pop on the wrist? One thing One thing Crystal had come to slowly realize as she thought it through, she couldn't betray Zach. She just couldn't. He had become a part of her life now by choice. No matter what, she just was gonna have to deal with things as they came. After she got well, of course. As for the things Zach would ask her to do, that would be something she was gonna have to draw lines on some things and find a way to try to make amends and try to make it work somehow. But first, getting better was her main priority. Crystal just wished she could do something to assure Zach that everything was going to be alright, but there was nothing she could do. Okay. So that's chapter 6. That's chapter 6. Hope you guys liked it. And also, just so we're clear on that, the guy that she saw in the window and everything else, spoiler alert for thing, the guy that she saw in the window was Eyeless Jack. Eyeless Jack basically found out what Zach was doing and was trying to do something as proxy and was basically going behind the family's back and doing some things that he wasn't supposed to and was basically being mischievous. And the family found out about it, especially Eyeless Jack found out about it, and basically he gave basically the reason that Crystal was so tired is because Eyeless Jack has snuck into a room and he inserted some kind of illness inside of her and something, and that's why she started to get sick. It was basically a punishment for both her and Zach for what they did. So that if you didn't get that, that's what that was. That's why she got sick all of a sudden, and that's why thing. Also, some of the stuff that she's going through and all the whole like becoming in and out of conscious is stuff that I had to go through when I was sick. So it's kind of a little tidbit of like when I got sick, this is how I felt about things. Anyway, just so you guys didn't get that, that's what that was. Eyeless Jack gave her a sickness and almost basically tried to almost kill her, but thankfully it wasn't a very strong illness. But that's what was happening. Anyway, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So, next chapter.